Talk! First off, this is not a spoiler-free show, and none of the episodes will be. So, this is intended for people who have already watched these episodes, or for the people that don't mind a few spoilers. So, with that being said, let's continue on. Hey, I'm the one, the only, Ty-nee 80s guy, and welcome to episode 2 of Ty-nee Talk. I'm going to be talking about the past, present, and future, or as I like to call it, the beyond, as in Ty-nee, beyond, of the other series, Ty-nee 80s guys, 80s and 90s video world. But what am I going to be talking about in this episode? Well, if you notice by the title, Ty Saw the Sign, it was a reference to the big 90s, big early 90s hit by Ace of Base, The Sign. You'll be getting an up-close view of each sign, and how I made each sign, and you'll also get a very special preview of a sign for a segment that I have yet to reveal. Here's the title sign for Ty-nee 80s guys, 80s and 90s video world. I'll hold it up here so you can see it really well. Don't want my finger to be in the way. Well, if you see up there in the upper left-hand corner, there is Ty, and that is with furry black and orange striped tiger lettering, because my nickname is Tiger, T-Y-G-E-R. The D and guy with the apostrophe and S are shiny and sparkly, along with and down there, because they are supposed to look golden, because I've always been interested in treasures made of gold, and I always thought, ever since I was a kid, that it was fascinating, and maybe not as much now that I'm older, but when I was a kid, it was so cool. Hence DuckTales, woo! And then you see the explosive, brightly colored 80s logo with the explosion around it, with the bright purple and the red and the orange and all that green and the polka dots, of course, with the yellow or the golden color that I used. And of course you see the other 80s down there with the purple and the pink. Of course, I can't forget about the apostrophe 90s there underneath the 80s with that golden color with the purple stripes. And you see the orange lightning bolt to go around it to kind of go with the whole video, which I kind of kept in sort of a very jagged looking, electric looking lettering that's lit up there. And world, another bright color there, and the red. And then you have the orange exclamation marks. It took me about, maybe about 2 hours to do, and I really enjoyed making it. At times, other times, I thought, well, it could be better. But, overall, I was pretty satisfied with it. So what do you think? Oh yeah, and let's not forget the furry exclamation points over there in between the Y and the S in guys. So there's your first sign. Sign 2 is for the Great 80s or 90s contest. And with this, I've got some bright blue for the, and I wanted to kind of arch the lettering a little bit there. And it's on the EAT on Great, and down there on OR. I've got the furry tiger lettering back for that, for the grrr part, and I've got the bright orange with the yellow polka dots on 80s. I've got the bright purple with orange stripes on the 90s part of the logo there. Of course, I've got the golden, shiny, sparkling letters on contest, you know, to indicate the big prize that's coming up. And of course, you know, I've got those orange exclamation points. So, and of course, I also have the bright green rays of light to highlight it all. And there you have your second sign. Except for the first sign, the others took about an hour or less to do. I was actually doing most of these signs while I was watching a MacGyver marathon on the Clue channel. It's CLOO if you're into old detective shows from the 80s and I think the 70s and stuff. But it's I think it's like a extended cable channel that I get on Charter. But anyway, I did all the signs with black Sharpie marker, you know, permanent marker, and there was I think it was like Marks a Lot or something, really big fat marker that I used for parts of it because I was running low on ink. I also made the signs on strong white cardstock. I wanted to emphasize the bright colors that were popular in the 80s and 90s, especially orange since it's my favorite color, and I had to include the triple exclamation points because it's one of my trademarks. And this is the Ty-day's Ty-tune sign. You know, I've got my furry tiger lettering back with Ty, you know, part of my name there, my nickname. I've got the hyphen and days there in the bright blue. I've got the pink there on tune, and the bright orange for exclamation points. And because it's Ty days and Ty tune, and these are words I came up with myself, I put double quotation, you know, 4 quotation marks around these two words. And then of course you got your bright green rays of light again. And that is sign number 3. I'm running really close to the 10-minute mark, so I've got to really speed this up. This is the end sign, and you see there's furry tiger lettering there. If you see right there on the end right there, I actually made a mistake with one of my lines. See it on the end of the N there. So I tried to blend it in there with the stripes, you know, if you see it there. So hopefully I did a pretty decent job on that, but I thought that would be pretty cool to point that out. Big, bold exclamation points there. There's a little bit of shadowing there on it too, and some texture work to kind of give it sort of a rough look. And of course we've got the green rays of light. So there's the big tiger lettering, the end. Running really close to being out of time here. So this is the Ty be continued sign with your furry tiger Ty there, you know, Ty be continued instead of to be continued. Nice little play of words on there. You know, the bright pink, the orange there on the dots. Ever since I was a little kid, I've been fascinated with the to be continued message at the end of episodes of shows like DuckTales, Chip and Dale's Rescue Rangers, Darkwing Duck, Gargoyles, I mean, Different Strokes, Full House, Family Matters, and the list goes on and on. I mean, it's awesome, and I will definitely be doing that a lot more in Tidy 80s Guys 80s and 90s video world. Okie dokie, now it's time for the preview of the sign that you've been waiting for. Drum roll, please. The 80s or 90s Ty-tome of the day. And that is where I will be revealing museum artifacts from here in Ty the 80s Guys Great 80s and 90s Museum. That's it for episode 2, so I hope you really enjoyed it. So have a great night or day, depending on where you are, and be fantastically chipperific.